Welcome to the Houston Hustle, the podcast that spotlights the movers, the makers, and the doers shaping the city we love. Each week, we sit down with Houston's top entrepreneurs to talk who they are, how they built it, the principles that drive them, and what success means beyond the highlight reel. This is real hustle, real stories, real Houston. Welcome to the Houston Hustle. I'm Dr. Paige Ward.
And I'm Dr. Charlie Ward.
And today we have our guest, Cyrus Nasr, who has Hive Bee Farm here in Houston. So welcome to the show.
Thanks.
For those who don't know you, tell us about who you are.
Well, I'm a beekeeper here in the Houston area. We have about 200 hives all over Harris, Montgomery, and Fort Bend County, some in Waller County. And I've been doing this for a little over 10 years now, after 15 years of being in the restaurant business, which, you know, I still kind of keep one foot in the door, selling honey and honeycomb to restaurants. Still love to cook for my wife, but beekeeping has taken a lot of stress out of my life.
A lot of stress. So how so?
Well, I don't have to work on holidays.
That's a big deal.
I don't have to work on weekends. However, I do. Of course, I go to the farmer's market, but I get to make my own hours completely. Sometimes I'm forced to, of course, do things at certain times, but it's great. Being outside, doing something different every day of the week. Some days are set, but for the most part, I get to do something different all the time, which keeps it interesting.
No, that is awesome. I think a lot of what you said too, of having that freedom to choose your own hours and what you want to do is just a huge asset.
Yeah.
So how did this idea first come to you?
Oh my gosh. It did not come to me at all. My wife loves to garden, and she had a tiny backyard in Houston. We had like a 1,500 square foot backyard. She had 2 garden beds and other plants and things. And she just loved orchids and growing flowers and fruits and vegetables and all kinds of things. And I enjoy that as well, not as much as she does. I enjoy the fruits of when all those things are ready. She's like, oh, can we plant this? I'm like, great. If we can eat it, plant it.
I love it.
And then in the spring, about 10 and a half years ago, she decided to take a beekeeping class from a guy in a neighborhood over who had been a beekeeper for a while, and he was putting on a class. And then she bought 2 beehives from him. And I was like, great. I support you, but from the other side of the bedroom window, I'll watch you and call 911 if something happens.
Oh my gosh, absolutely.
Of course, at this point in my life, it's much safer than I thought it was at that point in time. And then at that point in time, I had just gotten into a different restaurant after about 12 or 13 years at my first restaurant, and opened a restaurant with somebody, and it was going well, but it wasn't going well enough for him. And, things went a little south. And so by chance, a month after that happened, the guy she got the 2 beehives from was selling 34 hives and a shipping container full of bee equipment. And he was moving to Arkansas. And while you can transport them and everything like that, it's just easier to sell it and buy it.
Yeah, absolutely. Probably stretch them out.
So without ever having messed with the bees at all, and Sandy only have taken the 1 class and 2 beehives, I emailed him. She emailed him independently of me. She got home work, we talked, and I just dove in head first.
That is so cool. And then here you are today, because you are no longer in that 1,500 square foot backyard.
No, now, I was starting to look for warehouse space to rent because the business was growing, and the house was just overflowing with bee stuff. 2-car garage full of bee stuff. 1 bedroom was full of stuff. The dining room and the kitchen was just full of beeswax candle making. And it was just getting out of hand. The shed in the backyard was full of bee stuff. The carport was starting to get stuff. And then I would just have to leave stuff out in the field, and it would all rot faster, and it was becoming a problem. And by chance, that was when COVID happened, when I was looking for this warehouse space and thinking about expanding. And my wife became permanently remote with her job. So we're like, hey, let's get out of here. And so now we have 7 acres in Montgomery. And no, not all of the bees are there. We have some bees there. It's kind of like you can only have so many cows on 1 acre or a couple of acres. You can only have so many bees in one spot based on that area. And it's just like real estate, location, location, location. Some areas are better than others. But then I built a workshop at our own property, and I pay myself rent instead of paying somebody
Oh my gosh, I
else
love
rent.
that. That is fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay, and so how far do your bees extend now?
So each hive, the bees can fly up to 5 miles, but all the bees are in the same locations that we had. We added some and took away some, but for the most part, that hasn't changed. We still have bees all over the same locations in Fort Bend, Harris, Montgomery, and Waller counties. That about over 20 locations.
It is so interesting because so many business owners I've talked to have had huge changes with COVID. Like a lot of people thought that COVID was so detrimental, but statistically, there's so many like really successful businesses that came out of COVID and the opportunities that arose because of COVID.
Well, we definitely started before that, but that was actually a pretty good year for us. People were like, "Oh, people aren't going to buy things or this and that," but honey is technically a health and wellness thing.
Absolutely.
And so we had a pretty good year that year, and just grew from there.
Oh, I think a lot of people were so worried about COVID itself. And I know like in the communities I'm in and the parenting thing, people talk about honey all the time. So it was a really great time to capitalize on that, actually.
Yeah, that. And then especially some of my customers even told me, we were basically trapped at home, can't go anywhere. We're sick, and all we had was your honey.
Oh my gosh. So I know my own patients have loved your honey. We have implemented your honey into our like patient journey, basically. So if anybody starts care with us, they get a jar of your honey.
Awesome.
And everybody loves it. We've had so much feedback on like them using it as part of their breakfast and in their tea. And so it's really impactful because I mean, there's so many honey companies out there. But I've heard from so many of my patients that like, this is really good honey.
It really matters a lot about the beekeeping practices and, not to overprocess anything that whether it's, meat or any other fruits and vegetables, don't do too much to the product. Keep it as close to its natural state as possible. Even growing up, we had the little honey bear in the cabinet, and every couple of years you buy one, and it's okay. But I didn't really like honey that much until I met my mentor before I even had bees, and was like, oh man, this honey is great. And she had, 8,000 beehives.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Crazy. I don't plan to get there. So yeah, totally different scale, different practice of doing business, but I'm happy where I am.
Yeah. Speaking of scale, like you don't just do honey, you have the candles, you have like the honeycomb and everything. So how did you get into all of that?
So honey is always going to be the number one product we sell.
Yeah.
But initially coming from the restaurant industry, I went on a camping trip with a bunch of chefs, and I brought some honeycomb with me as like one of the treats. And one of the guys, he's like, "Oh, you have honeycomb? Can you bring me some?" I'm like, "Sure." "Can you bring me 5 pounds?" "Sure." "Can you bring me 5 pounds a week?" "Okay." And that was it. He wiped me out. The one guy wiped me out in the beginning, and then as we grew, slowly added more and more each year as we grew our hive count and products.
And how many farmers markets are you at?
Right now, we're doing 4 farmers markets every Saturday. It's a lot. Tomball Farmers Market, the Montgomery Farmers Market, and 2 in Houston, Memorial Villages and Urban Harvest, where we started. Was our first farmers market.
That is so cool. And you started with just one then? And you've grown up to
we initially started at Urban Harvest, which actually my mentor with the 8,000 hives, she didn't want to go to the farmer's market every Saturday anymore after doing it for, I think, 15 years. She was like, okay, I'm kind of tired of doing this. Get up early, lug all the stuff in, lug it back, load the truck or van every week. And in the cold, in the rain, in the heat, all those things. And so she actually recommended me to the farmer's market to take her place. And so I really thank her a lot all the time for what she's done for us as well. Yeah.
No, that's awesome. I also think it's awesome that you were able to take your background with restaurant and just be able like take your knowledge from that and be able to market yourself to them.
Definitely. Initially, even before doing any farmers markets, we were like, we're not doing any farmers markets. We don't want to do that because my wife works, Monday through Friday, essentially a 9-to-5 job. And she was like, but you won't be with me on the weekends. I'm like, yeah, we're not going to do that. We're not going to do that. We're just going to do pop-ups and sell to restaurants and this and that. and then, opportunity knocks and you answer the door.
Absolutely. I mean, you guys are pretty busy over at those farmers markets. I've seen y'all. I've only been to the Tomball one, but yeah.
Yeah, we stay busy, and we always try to take a little bit more than we think we can sell, so that if it's a really busy day, we have enough for everybody.
That's smart. Okay, so there are obviously, when you go to farmers markets, there's multiple apiaries there. What would you say sets your honey apart?
It depends on, some people you can have bees a couple miles apart and it's pretty much the same. But again, you want to do as little as possible to the honey when you harvest it. Don't heat it too much. We do warm it gently to help it bottle faster and flow nicely when bottling. Otherwise, we don't filter it. We call it strained.
Okay.
It's still called it's filtered,
right?
But it's called unfiltered. But it's filtering through a wide mesh strainer, so that you're still allowing those pollens the particles of pollen to go through the sieve as well, which is one of the reasons you want to have it unfiltered.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I know there is a lot of health benefits of honey. How much have you learned about that since?
Oh my gosh, that could be like a whole 10 hours of what I learned about health benefits of the beehive. The beehive is a medicine cabinet, not just honey. I mean, honey has so many health benefits on its own, of course. Allergies, people know. You can put it on burns and wounds.
I did not know that part.
Oh, yeah. It's a great facial cleanser, actually.
Really?
It's exfoliating, moisturizing, and hydrating all at the same time.
That's why you look so good.
Yeah. No, I have gotten some honey showers when we first started doing this. When we had a lower hive count, I would do bee removal from the walls of a house or under a shed, all kinds of places. But yeah, this one time I was in a tiny bathroom in a salon, and just like shoulder width, maybe twice shoulder width wide, and just pulling all this honeycomb out of the ceiling.
Oh my God,
and it's just dripping on you. And I will tell you, it does burn when it gets in your eyes.
Really? Okay.
Oh,
I've
yeah.
never had honey in my eyes.
Because it's slightly acidic.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. See, I did not know. That's wild.
And so the honey being I'm happy to dispel this myth. Honey being slightly acidic is one of the reasons people are like, oh, don't use a metal spoon. Okay, but what kind of metal are we using in our honey here, people? Who is using bare steel, copper, real silver, anything like that in your honey or at home? Nobody.
Right.
We're all using stainless steel for the most part in all of our stuff, which is a non-reactive metal.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, it's people that say, oh, don't use a metal spoon. Well, what kind of metal spoon are you using? Come on. Yeah, don't leave a gold or silver or copper or, aluminum spoon sitting in your honey. And even if you had any of those kinds of spoons and you just dipped it in and used it and then didn't leave it in there, that's not enough time for anything to react anyway. Yeah. So,
oh, absolutely.
Don't
I had not even actually heard this myth before.
Oh, it's going around.
I'm sure you hear all the things.
Lots of crazy questions every week at the farmers market, which is one of the great things of when people actually come to see me at the farmers markets. Well, we do have other employees. They are not beekeepers. So
right.
I do try to teach them as much as I can. But when you come in, you can ask me all the questions you want at the farmers market. I'm happy to teach people. I love teaching people about the bees and the health benefits of the hive. One of the other great things we sell is bee pollen, which is full of protein, vitamins, minerals, amino acids. It's the next most healthy thing next to beef liver. Super nutrient dense, liver cleansing, anti-inflammatory, boost the immune system, just nutritional superfood.
Okay, you brought some stuff with it.
I didn't bring any bee pollen with me, but I wanted to talk about propolis, which is a tree resin that bees collect. And it's like a glue or cement in the hive. And so they'll actually use it to close off the entrance, seal the walls, attach the frames to each other. And then sometimes you'll get nice chunks of it some places and we can also put a trap in to encourage them to build more.
Right.
Now, the ancient Egyptians saw that the healthier hives had a lot of propolis in them. And they were like, if the healthy hive has more propolis, maybe it's healthy for us too. And they used it in the mummification process. and as a health tonic, of course, which you take that propolis and then you can turn it into capsules, of course, but tinctures and throat sprays. Tincture is kind of one of the best and most medicinal ways, an alcohol extraction tincture to get most of the, caffeic acetylphenol, something acid. It's CAPE. And green Brazilian propolis is actually the best. So if you had like cancer or something, you would just be downing that green Brazilian propolis until you got a stomach ache.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
To kill cancer, it retards tumor growth. Yeah, it's just awesome stuff for COVID, the flu. Pretty much, it's anti-inflammatory. Helps regulate blood pressure, blood sugar. You can make creams and lotions and salves and soaps out of it and things like that. Yeah.
Have you noticed now? I've seen a lot of things in the news of like honeybees dying. Have any issues with that?
So anything that sounds great on the news and has some level of truth to it and some level of sensationalism. So while honeybees do have lots of issues, the number one thing is the varroa mite. So if you had a tick on you that was like this big, that's how big the tick would be on you. That's how big the mites are to the bee.
Oh my goodness.
And so they transmit disease and they kind of poke holes in the side of the bee. And then they weaken the hive by those factors, mostly the transmitting the disease, and they mate inside of the capped brood cell where the baby bees are being pupated.
Okay.
And so I try to use as little chemicals as possible with treating. There are so many natural treatments and harsh chemical treatments you can use to treat for the mites. But my number one recommendation to people is to get a VSH queen, Varroa Sensitive Hygienic. And that promotes grooming behaviors with the bees.
Really?
So they're kind of grooming themselves and each other to get the mites off. And some of them can also sense the mites under the capped brood cell. So they open it up so they have no chance to continue that mating process and hatch more mites.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So that, and of course, widespread herbicide, pesticide usage. Nobody needs to be spraying just weed and feed on, weed. What's a weed? It's any unwanted plant.
Right.
But anything that flowers is good for bees and other pollinators, which I always tell people, if you're so concerned about the bees, think about the other pollinators more, because the European honeybees that we use for honey are highly managed by man. Mm-hmm. But I always say, please don't use herbicides, pesticides. Buy from small, organic, sustainable, regenerative farms so that you're, the big ag, 10,000 acres of one crop, that's not healthy for bees. If you go back, 100 or so years, the farmers, they had 100 acres or maybe 1,000 acres, but they were farming a wide variety of things all year long in season. And they were also the beekeeper, right? So those bees were getting a variety of things all year long and going to the neighbor's farm that was also growing a variety of things, as opposed to the commercial beekeeping where they get put on trucks, trucked around the country, go to almond pollination, which is the Super Bowl of beekeeping. Almost all of the bees in the country, from large-scale producers, not hobbyists, go to California about this time of year, January, February, just before the almonds bloom to pollinate the almond crop. Then when they're done there, they go to another crop.
Really?
And then to another crop and so forth, or they come back and then they split them up and sell them or go to make honey somewhere. But yeah, so it's really hard on the bees to move around the country, eat this one thing, and that kind of weakens the bees over time. So you really got to if you're doing that, keep the nutrition of the bees really high, which requires a lot of extra feeding and supplementation. They get probiotics and all kinds of things.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Bee probiotics.
Yeah, because you really need it, especially after the almonds, because the almond producers, they're leasing these bees, but if they see that there's something wrong with the almond trees, they need to take care of that. They're like, oh, my almond trees, your bees, what are they going to take care of first? They're going to take care of their almond trees first.
Of course.
And so like, okay, fungicide, spray. And then so that's why you really got to be careful with your bees when you do those kind of pollination contracts.
Okay. So where has your business changed from day one, would you say?
Oh man, just huge. Like I said, we weren't planning on doing any farmers markets when we first started. We didn't even think it would be a business. We were like, oh, this is going to be a big hobby, and we'll see how it works out.
Right.
And we'll have honey for friends and family and maybe sell a little bit and see what happens. And it just, exploded. We were shocked. What was going to be a side business / hobby turned into a full-time business. And people were like, do you do this full-time? What's your day job? I'm like, no, this is my job. This is all I do.
The time.
Yeah.
And I've seen your workshop. It is extensive.
Yeah. I mean, we built it in 2021 and I could use more space now.
Yeah, absolutely. So is there, were you going to say something?
Yeah. Like, where do you see this growing and expanding into the future? Yeah.
Oh man, I don't know. It's hard to say. Every year, some people ask for different products, or we see a demand in the market, or it just takes us somewhere organically. Every year kind of changes just a little bit. Add another farmers market, add another customer on the wholesale end, which can be a restaurant, a retail shop.
Right.
We love those kind of customers because that's easy. I get to do basically a whole another weekend of farmers markets on Mondays with my wholesale deliveries.
Yeah.
Without having to set up a tent and anything like that. Just load the truck up, drop off. And it's kind of fun going to different places and seeing everything behind the scenes, and especially some of our favorite restaurants where you get to see how they're producing things coming from the restaurant business, like seeing them actually doing it the right way also.
Yeah.
Getting the fresh product in, making things from scratch the way I would do it. I'm like, this is where I want to eat.
Yeah. What are some of the restaurants that you work with?
Nobi's, who I think they got the Bib Gourmand Michelin mention this year.
Oh my goodness.
And Brasserie 19, Derek Kitchen, Pondicherry, one of the great Indian restaurant in Houston, and so many others that I'm not thinking of. But we also sell to a couple of stores.
Okay.
A Movable Feast, Henderson and Kane, and a really big one that is a shocker for me and them is Major's Dairy, which is in Sweeney. Have you ever heard of that?
I
never heard of it either. It's about an hour south of Houston, and further south than Rocheron, kind of in between Rocheron and Angleton. Anyway, they have cows and they do raw milk, cream and chocolate milk and things like that. And they have this little self-serve farm shop, like unmanned. And initially they were like, oh, can you deliver? I'm like, no, I'm not delivering there. Absolutely not. And so they picked up for me at the farmer's market a couple of times, and then their orders got bigger and they're like, oh boy, what do we do now? And luckily her husband has an employee in Houston. So he's like, you're going to work from home on Mondays. And so I drop off to him now on once a month on Mondays. And they just opened another store, like a market in called Ridgewood, kind of like not Angleton, before Angleton, but south of Houston, kind of off 288 FM 2004. And it's just about to open. But surprisingly, this little dairy is my biggest customer.
Really?
Yeah.
It's
a shocker for both of us.
But that's very cool. What is something that people don't see about your success story? Everybody sees the highlight reels, but what have been some moments that have been harder and you've overcome?
When one of your biggest wholesale restaurant clients has a corporate chef change and you're selling to 3 locations every week, and that's your biggest client, and you've jumped through hoops to make sure you have everything you need for them specifically, and then they change the menu and you have you're like, oh, okay, now what do I do? And when you lose your top client, that's a big hit to the bottom line. And so that took a little while to recover from, but you just hit the ground and keep going. You don't stop.
Yeah.
You don't cry about it. You don't worry about it. You just go.
Yeah,
keep
that's
going.
A huge
Push.
mindset thing.
Yeah.
Like just having that.
It's exactly it. Mindset. Don't worry about it. Just keep going. Other customers come.
I love that. That more is coming mentality.
When you have a good product, when you take care of your customers, which is the number one for me, coming from the restaurant industry, I always tell people customer service, customer service, customer service. Whether it's at the farmer's market or my wholesale customers, you really have to have customer service every which way and take great care of them. Whether it's, being on time, being friendly, and just taking care of them in general. Oh, I need this. Some people, sometimes I'll put my foot down. For the most part, if people are like, I need this tomorrow, I'm like, okay. Because, when we lived in Houston and somebody in Houston needed something, no big deal.
Right, you're right there.
10 minutes, drop it off, no big deal. But now that we moved out to Montgomery and we're an hour from Houston, it's a little bit more of a drive and effort and, cost to go an hour each way with fuel and time. But, you take good care of your customers and they'll take care of you.
I think that's the big thing is you do sell yourself in an aspect to the business. And we were just talking before this that you were part of what inspired this whole podcast. It's when we came and visited you, you're like, I can take any business and make it successful because of who you are.
Absolutely. I mean, it doesn't matter. You put me in an ice cream shop or, a steel mill. I don't care what it is. I'll figure it out and make it work.
That is so awesome. Okay. Well, for our listeners, where is somewhere that they can find you? What's the best way to get a hold of you?
To get a hold of me, you can get a hold of me by text, email, contact@hivebeefarm.com. Send me a Facebook message or comment on one of our posts. We do use Instagram as well, of course. Come see me at the farmer's market. Happy to chat with anybody.
You've been listening to Houston Hustle, celebrating the entrepreneurs who are shaping our city. If you enjoyed this episode, subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone building their own dream. Until next time, keep building, keep learning, and keep hustling.